Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this meeting, special meeting, I would say. Please welcome our Toastmaster of the day, President Chitra.
Thank you, Hassan, for the warm welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the season of new beginnings, the season of graduation. Graduation to me is like completing a level in the video game. It's going to be a whole exciting new level. After that, new gadgets and stuff, and new challenges like filling taxes. So it has its own pros and cons. Tonight with us, we have 6 speakers who are themed their speeches on graduation. I know as a student, most of us were like, we barely have a schedule. Sometimes we pull an all-nighter to study for the exam, and then we sleep like a log of wood for the next 12 hours. But then bringing a schedule with the help of college was something great. We knew that when we had to attend our classes, when we had to submit our deadlines. So something like that in our Toastmasters we have are the functionaries who will help us drive through and keep track of where we are and what we should be doing. I would welcome Ashutosh, our accounter, and he will be telling us what he'll be looking for us in tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, everyone. Today I'll be your counter, and I'll be looking for filler words in your speech, as well as ahs and ums and long pauses and things along those lines. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Our next functionary is our grammarian, Sarah. Tell us, Sarah, what are you looking in tonight with us?
Hello, everyone. Today I will be looking for uses of rhetoric, as well as checking for incorrect uses of grammar that could be improved to help communicate your message. We also have a word of the day, which is commence, which means to begin or start. It is a verb. You can use it in place of begin or start, as in, let's commence the speeches.
Thank you, Sarah. Next functionary we have is our timer, Tanay. Tanay, let us know what you're looking for us with tonight.
Hello everyone. So as a timer today, I'll be keeping a track of the timings of today's speech, and today's speech are 5 to 7 minutes long. Almost everyone's speech is 5 to 7 minutes long, except Ajita's. So at 5-minute mark, I will type it in the chat that it's your 5 minutes are up, and I'll also show this yellow card. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll try to make it visible during the speech. At 6-minute mark, I'll show the green book that I have, and I'll also type it in the chat. And at 7-minute mark, I'll show the red book, and I'll also type it in the chat. And then you have 30 seconds to wrap. All the best.
Today's session is broken down into prepared speeches and silent evaluation for these prepared speeches and the table topics session. In the first session in our prepared speeches, we have 6 speakers tonight who will be joining us. And our first speaker is Serial, and evaluating him is Alasera. Alasera, can you tell us about what you're looking for in Serial speeches today? Alasera?
So I'll be looking for any variation in speech and body languages and any other important things that I may find that could be useful for me.
Okay, thank you, Alasera. I asked Serial what was one aspect you will miss about college. He said he's missing the pressure of assignments and the stress he needs. And even after 1 week of graduating, he still wakes up every day and is like, what, I don't have any assignment, what should I do now? And let's welcome Serial.
Graduating from RIT is one of the greatest achievements of my life. But this journey that is ending today has not been without tears, blood, and sweat. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Toastmasters, 4 years ago, I was seated in front of my TV to watch a wildlife documentary, as I usually do, around 3 p.m. It was a very hot day like today, and the heavy noise of the traffic outside of my house was making it even harder to bear. But that day, something happened, something that will be the commence of a great journey. I did saw a documentary, but it wasn't about animals. For the first time of my life, I would hear about the Fulbright scholarship. I saw some students from my country, some former Fulbright scholars, that were sharing their experiences in this program. I heard one of them saying, being a Fulbright scholar is a privilege, and you get to study for free. For instance, your tuition is paid for, your housing, and also your health insurance. And I thought, perhaps I could be like them. Perhaps I could study in the United States. I always dreamed of studying abroad, but never in the United States, because that dream was far beyond reach. I could never afford that. But I thought the Fulbright scholarship will be a way for me to live that dream. And I decided to try, because there's no harm in trying. If I try and I failed, I would always come out better, because not everybody tried. And I knew I wasn't ready for that, and that I would have to work hard to get the professional experience and the English level required to be qualified for that program. I started involving myself into different activities, volunteering with NGOs to improve my CV, and also to practice heavily English in order to improve my level. I remember the first thing I did was to turn on the language setting of my phone from French to English so I could start learning English. I also started reading books, listening to songs in English, and watching movies in English, even though I did not understand what they were saying. I also practiced with my friend that happened to be selected for the same program, and that is currently my roommate here at RIT. I remember one night we went out for dinner, and as we were being served, we were talking in English. And the girl that were serving the food was so amazed, and she asked, "Are you Americans?" And we said, "Yes." She was so amazed, and she said, "Please, if you're going back to America, please take me with you." And we laughed our heads off once she was gone, because we were kidding. And what English were we talking? This was Franglish, which is a mix of English and French. But after 2 years of hard work, we got selected for the program, and here we are today. Ladies and gentlemen, in July 14th, 2018, I was arriving for the first time in the United States. Everything looked bigger. I was amazed by what I saw. The houses were big, the cars were big, and even the people. I remember it was summer, but I was wearing a jacket because I was cold. I called my family and I said, "It's like in the movies." I was so excited, so happy, but that excitement and happiness will not last long. In August, we started classes and my travel started. I was struggling to catch up with the new system. After 2 weeks, I got a very first zero because I couldn't meet the deadline. Every week, I would have tons of books and articles to read, countless assignments, and I even thought the professor were mean and that they were doing that purposely, and I did not understand the discussions in the classroom. But that zero that I got changed everything. I realized that I would probably going to fail, and I had to find a solution. I started talking with my professors, and they helped me and guided me through. They helped me navigate the courses. I also joined a study group and I learned a few tips such as skimming an article. I also worked out a study plan to help me keep up with my deadlines. Here I am today, graduating with a master in business administration and an advanced certificate in project management. Those certificates that I'm getting are worthy in the sense that they are preparing me for a successful professional career. But they do not count as much as the personal experience that I had here living in the United States. I have made so amazing connection. I met people from all over the world, and I made friends that taught me that we are all different. But this difference that we have do not separate us. We may be different in a million ways, but our need for love, for security, and justice has made us similar in a billion ways we can never imagine. I also learned valuable lessons about myself. For instance, I learned that if I really wanted something and I put the time and the effort for it, I will be able to succeed. I also learned that going outside of your comfort zone and being vulnerable does not hurt you, but actually helps you become stronger. This is the reason why I joined the Toastmaster clubs, and I am grateful to all of you, and especially to my mentor that taught me that it is okay to make mistakes. I also want to be grateful to all my friends of the study group and my professors that guided me and without whom I will never be able to survive the first semester. The journey is perhaps ending today, but I feel like it's just a beginning. I still have a lot to learn, but I also believe I have a lot to accomplish. And I don't fear the future because I know that I will always have friends and amazing people that will be there for me whenever I need them. Madam Toastmasters.
Thank you, Cyril, for the amazing speech. I asked Cyril how would he personify his college. He said it's a hard to say. He said it's like a friend who you would never want to stay apart, but still a sugary and sweet and salty experience kind of thing. Let's all take 1 minute to give a feedback to Cyril's speech. Let him know what you liked about his speech, what you think he can improve on. Timer, can you give us 1 minute for it? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Our next speaker is Ajita. Evaluating Ajita is Grant. Grant, can you tell about what you're looking for in Ajita's speech?
Sure. So Ajita will be given a roughly 5-minute speech. Am I on? Oh, hold on. Sorry, my thing's a little bit messed up. All right, Ajita will be giving a roughly 5-minute speech, and I'll be watching out for different expressions she uses, like kind of facial expressions or body language, that sort of thing, and the vocal variety she uses throughout her speech. I look forward to hearing what she has to say, and good luck, Ajita.
Thank you, Grant. I asked Ajita what is one thing you would miss about college, and she says she would definitely miss the college ID discount she gets with the college ID. Sure, many people miss that as well. Let's welcome Ajita.
Coming from a place where going to the US for studying was only heard in stories, I pursued my dream of living that story, and here I am, alongside all my fellow graduates graduating from this prestigious university. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, these last 2 years at RIT has been a long roller coaster ride, where companions came in and out of the ride in different phases. The only constant thing was continuous learning. From learning different technologies to implementing different ideas, from learning different cultures to cooking different foods, RIT was a complete exploratory package. It was wonderful being a part of this RIT community where everyone was willing to lend a helping hand to make it to this day of graduation. I enjoyed staying at the RIT campus with roommates from different countries. We shared different stories from our countries, we shared different foods, and we celebrated different festivals. I remember celebrating the Chinese New Year, celebrating the Ethiopian New Year, and of course, celebrating Diwali with all my roommates. The best part of all these festivals was having the authentic food which was made in our countries during those festivals. Some of my other best memories of this place are experiencing the first snowfall, which I dreaded initially, but eventually fell in love with. Working on different assignments, finishing them at the last minute and submitting it. Attending coffee hours on Thursdays and having varieties of conversation with my fellow batchmates. And being a part of this wonderful Toastmaster club where I could share my heart out without hesitation. I'm sure all my fellow graduates have so many memories which they hold dear to. And all of us experiencing in this pandemic together and observing how despite different struggles, we all stayed together. So many people participated to this success in one way or the other. I would like to thank all my advisors, mentors, and staff at the department for their continuous support and guidance. I would also like to thank all the different staff which I worked with at RIT, be it dining services, the library, and different labs. All these jobs taught me so many different skills, the most important one being a people's person. Lastly, I would like to thank my mom, dad, and friends and families for their support, for their continuous support and guidance and always pushing me to get the best out of myself. I think now I'm ready to commence another adventure. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ajita. I asked Ajita if she had to personify RIT, how would it be? She said RIT is like a master of all trades. He can guide you in whichever way you want to go and whichever way you want to learn from. I do agree with that. Our next speaker will be Alex. And I asked Alex, what's one thing you miss about college? And he says, having people of his age in his teams. And he's always the youngest at his team at work. And he's having missing people who are at his age as his peers. So evaluating Alex is Deb today. And Deb, what are you looking forward in Alex's speech tonight?
Sorry, Deb. I sent my message to Chitra instead of you.
Well, I will be looking for how inspiring I know Alex is striving to be in this speech to kick off your guys' graduation. I know that's a big deal to him. So that's what I'm going to be keeping an ear out for, an eye out for. And yeah.
Thank you, Deb. Let's all welcome Alex.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and graduates, I want to introduce to you a hero. Born toward the end of one century and coming of age in a new century, full of unrealized promise. A new century that is marked by a descent into avoidable and wasteful war, and capped with the pandemic, the likes of which the world had seldom seen. Our hero is J.R.R. Tolkien. And I could tell you more about his life, but in the circumstances of his growing up, you can already see that his generation has much in common with yours. And ours, if you'll be kind enough to let me join your generation. As a young, avid reader, I often escaped from the small personal traumas of loneliness and my middle school life into that imaginary world that he created, reading and rereading the adventures of Frodo and his friends. I'm convinced that reading prepared me to widen my world, and not only to see the dark forces of corrupting indifference and poisonous injustice in the world, but to see that that wider world invites adventure. So what can we learn from this mind and this heart? This mind and heart that were forged by some of the few times in recent memory more dark and desperate than our own. The lessons that he has to teach us will be woven into the stories that he left us. And there, right at the beginning of his epic novel, The Lord of the Rings, we see the lesson that we need today. A lesson spoken by Gandalf, the wizard, to our hobbit friend, Frodo Baggins. Gandalf is deeply fond of Frodo, as I'm deeply fond of each of you. But the news that he had to share was grim. In the quiet firelight of his comfortable hobbit home, Frodo has just learned that the one ring of power, a devious object of pure evil that corrupts its bearer and poisons the world, has been willed to him. And I'll read from the story now. This ring, he stammered. How on earth did it come to me? Ah, said Gandalf, that is a very long story. The beginnings lie back in the Black Years, which only the lore masters now remember. If I were to tell you that tale, we should be sitting here when spring had passed into winter. But last night I told you of Sauron the Great, the Dark Lord. The rumors which you have heard are true. He has indeed arisen again and left his hold in Mirkwood and returned to his ancient fastness in the Dark Tower of Mordor. That name even you hobbits have heard of. Like shadow on the border of old stories, always, after defeat and respite, the shadow takes another shape and grows again. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And already, Frodo, our time is beginning to look black. We shall be hard put to it. We should be very hard put to it, even if it were not for this dreadful chance. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Now, you have not been given a ring of power, But what have you been given? Education, a degree from one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Education that is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Wielded properly, the power and privilege that degree grants you will allow you to transform your life into any shape you choose. Over and over again, the power and privilege, given enough power and privilege to ensure that their own children would live better than they did. Our grandparents and our parents grasped the ring of power. They built empires that destroyed on oil, that destroyed the environment, and wars that devastated all the places where that oil is found. Now, here we are, by the quiet firelight with Frodo, learning that the world that we inherited is not so safe as we thought, and that the responsibility to choose what to do with the power that we're given. What did Tolkien do? In the midst of world war and pandemic, he got married, and in an ultimate act of hope, he and his wife had kids. He chose a career that made him alive, and he created a world of imagination that would inspire generations. What did I do? I left a lucrative career in engineering and joined a nonprofit whose work inspires me. And each and every day I invest what hope I have in you. And you have already stepped out of your comfort zones, your shires, and into the adventure of leadership and selflessness. So it is not for us to decide what happens in our times. We're living through some dark times now. But all we have to decide is what to do with the time that we're given. Mr. Toastmaster.
Wonderful message, Alex. I asked Alex how would he personify his college. He says, college is a lot going on a camping trip planned by Matt Benedict. You can bet that it's going to be a difficult trek, but it's always worth the work. And he says, always yes to a side trek to check out something cool along the way. He'll also make sure that you get to the top of the mountain where the view is pretty cool, and make it obvious that the time you get to spend with the people who you came along for this journey with. A good personification of how a college life is. Let's all take 2 minutes to send a love note to Alex and to Ajita to say what they liked about their speech and what they could improve on. Thank you, everybody. Our next prepared speaker is Kanwal. I asked Kanwal what is one thing that she misses about her college. She definitely says she missed the late lights at her building at Golisano Institute of Sustainability. Being a night owl, she enjoyed using the building when no one was around at night. Evaluating Kanwal is Roberta. Let's hear from Roberta. What is she looking for in Kanwal's speech tonight? Roberta.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Tonight, as Kamal's evaluator, I will be looking for a few things. As she's been a little out of practice, I'm going to be looking for her to call upon her foundational skills, and specifically looking for flow, as well as effective use of pausing. And in addition, since she's our fourth graduation speaker, hopefully bringing something unique to the table to keep us engaged. Best of luck, Kamal.
Let's all welcome Kanwal.
Thank you. Madam Toastmasters, honored guests, and fellow graduates, welcome to celebrate the class of 2020. Truly the most resilient class of the decade. Survived the ongoing pandemic, earthquakes, plane crashes, almost world wars, and the devastating loss of our beloved, loss of George's beloved RET logo. Truly devastating. But the fact that we are here to celebrate shows that we did it, we made it. And I guess this is the point where I should talk about working hard, dreaming big, and commencing the future. But I would rather save that for the later and start my speech with this story of a little dream, of my dream of walking down the stage with lots of strangers cheering my success. For me, that could only happen in either of the two ways. I could become a supermodel, but come on, no amount of money or fame was going to push me to choose a career where I had to wash my hair every single day. Wasn't gonna happen. The other way I could make this happen was to graduate. In Pakistan, we don't do high school graduations. So according to my calculations, it was only gonna take 5 more years of school, 2 years of college, and 4 years of undergrad degree. And my dream would be fulfilled. I would be walking down the stage and a lot of people would be cheering for me. Truly doable stuff. Only to realize that our graduation ceremonies happen the year after fulfilling all the requirements. And in the meantime, if you nag your parents a lot, they can marry you off early to ship you to another country and you miss your graduation. So a little detour happened in my story with a master's degree in Chinese language. So I recalculated my ETA to the cheering train, set a timer of 3 more years, and I was all set. Well, not that easy, especially when international borders are involved. And there is a thing called visa expiration. There I was once again devastated to be not able to walk at my graduation because my visa expired. I put my dream on hold once again and decided to give time to my family, who are really nice people, by the way. After 2 years, my dream started pinching me again, and I decided to start my journey yet once again, this time at RET. And I can say it with all my heart that this time it was the best of all. I had experienced college and work before, and I was ready to take on this journey with no regrets. It was going on exceptional, and I was ready to graduate, walking down the stage, finally, with a great job in hand. Until 2020 started, and I finally got the courage to say it to myself, Kamal, it's not you, it's not them, it's you. So I'm truly thankful to you, fellow Toastmasters, and the free version of Zoom that I'm able to finally attend my graduation and shed the negativity from myself. See, the point of this story is not about how desperate I am, which I might as well be, but that if you work really hard, the dreams can be yours in one way or the other. I'm happy to be able to get my success, and I wish yours to all of you too. Happy graduation.
Thank you, Kanwal, for taking us with the journey of how your experience over here was. I asked Kanwal how would she personify RIT. She said she would describe RIT as Snowball from Secret Life of Pets. It seems cute and cuddling until it isn't. True story. Let's all take a minute and let us send us a love note to Kanwal. Thank you, everybody. Next on the list of our speakers is Preetham. I asked Preetham what he would miss in RIT. He said he would miss being around young and energetic people. Preetham is being evaluated by Matthew Mack. Let's hear from Matt what he is looking forward in Preetham's speech.
All right. Preetham's purpose in this speech is to inspire us. It's a part of some pathway because there's a real evaluation that he sent to me. I'm not sure which pathway it is. So we will look forward to being once again inspired by Preetham.
Let's all welcome Preetham.
Last week when Chitra asked me to do this speech about graduation, I was not sure if I must be doing this because I don't even know when I'm going to graduate. So that is the reality you face when you start a graduate program. You are at the mercy of your advisor about when you can graduate. However, I have been in a graduate school for about 8 years now. And there are a couple of lessons I have learned through these 8 years, which I would share with you today. There are 3 lessons in particular that I want to share with you. The first one among them is it doesn't matter what you are doing. All that matters is who you are working with. I can give this example in a very simple way. I came to RIT in 2012 to get my master's in industrial engineering. When I came for a master's, I was living with my roommates, and something that was very rare to find when you are away from home was food. I got enrolled in the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, and they were organizing a luncheon for all the incoming students and the faculty. So I went there excited about the free food I was going to get. As I was standing there gorging on the salads and other snacks, I took a look around myself and I saw all the faculty that were going to be teaching us. I noticed something about the faculty. Most of the faculty had this air about them that I am a teacher. I am a teacher at this prestigious university, except one person. That one person's name was Dennis Cormier. He was about 40 years old, a tall, thin guy with about grayish hair. And he was not like that. Instead, he was very humble and down to earth and was personally coming to each and every student and talking to them. I decided this is the professor I am going to work with. It's been 8 years since I have been working with him, and I have realized why it's important who you work with rather than what you do. I chose to work with him because he was doing 3D printing. But today, I am doing something called a business with Xavier and Justin, and my professor is in my team with me. A big part of business is going out and talking to people. One day, it happened that we were talking with a guy at the famous Rochester company Xerox. There was an engineer that we were speaking to, and at the end of the conversation we are having, I asked that engineer, what advice would you give to someone like us, students who are looking to build a company? The guy said, the first thing I'll tell you is you are in great hands. Your professor, Dennis Cormier, we hire him to advise us to grow our company. I have been with Dennis at conferences around the world, and every time we walk across those aisles, people come up and talk to him. He is the top 2 to 3 people in the world when it comes to 3D printing. And I realized that while Dennis was charging so much money from these big companies like Xerox to advise them, he was helping us, giving his time to us for free. It did not matter whether we were doing 3D printing or something else. All that mattered that we were working with an expert who was humble and who was willing to help. That's the first lesson. The second lesson that I want to share with you is you need to fail before you can succeed. I come from a background in high school, lower school, and middle school where I was terrible at math. I did not pass in math for 6 consecutive years. When I started my PhD program at RIT, they put me into an advanced engineering math class. It was a nightmare for me. With the engineering PhD program, what happened was if you get anything below B, you automatically fail. And of course, I got below B. When Dr. Cormier got to know that, he called me into his office and told me, Pritham, I saw you fail this class. Can I ask why? I had a very simple answer. I did not anything in that class. And Dr. Cormier looked at me, smiled, and said, I'll tell you something. I'm not worried that you failed. I want to tell you it's okay to fail, but don't be a failure. I took that to heart, and I also retook that class. And I realized the importance of Dr. Cormier's words, why he said that. The second time I took that class, I was so glad I failed the first time, because second time I was actually able to understand those math problems. And the second time I took that class, I passed with an A. The third lesson that I want to share with you is it's very important to have fun. Graduate school can be challenging and tough. I have been in the graduate program for 8 years. So when I joined Dr. Cormier's lab, he was in his 40s. And as we went through the class, he went to his 50s. That's how long we have been in his class. One year, I think 2 years ago, he turned 50 and we wanted to celebrate that and give him a big surprise. So we get all the people around and got a big cake in the lab where we worked. Dr. Cormier was there in his office working, doing his stuff, and I got the charge of bringing Dr. Cormier from his office into the lab without letting him know of any idea that what was going to happen. I went to Dr. Cormier's office and told Dr. Cormier, there's a big problem in the lab. Dr. Cormier lifted his head up in surprise and said, what? I said, there's something like a fire in the lab. Dr. Cormier said, how did that happen? Can you be more specific? I said, no, we have to rush to the lab right now. Dr. Cormier almost jumped over his desk, closed the door behind him and ran to the lab. He was 50 years old and I was struggling to keep up with him. We went to the lab. Dr. Cormier opened the door and saw a big cake in front of him. And he was surprised. And he looked at me and told everyone, Preetham is never going to graduate. Maybe that's why I'm still here. So I want to share with you the 3 lessons when you are in school and when you go out of school. Make sure that you choose the right person, because it's important who you are working with rather than what you are doing. The second lesson is you need to fail before you can succeed. You can fail many times, just don't be a failure. The third lesson is it is important to have fun. Life can be challenging. If you don't have fun, you won't have any memories to remember at the end of your life. With that, I will hand it over to our Toastmaster Chitra.
Thank you, Preetham, for sharing us wonderful lessons you have learned throughout graduate school. Hope we can also relate to these lessons. I asked Preetham how would he describe RIT. He said he describes RIT as a field where many seeds are sown and where all seeds get equal amount of rain and sun to turn into crops. On our next speaker list is Gaurav. And evaluating Gaurav is Xavier. Let's hear from Xavier what he's looking in Gaurav's speech.
Thank you, Chitra. Gaurav didn't give me too much to go on here. He's going to be giving his graduation commencement speech as well. He told me that he's going to try to make sure that no one cries at the end. Additionally, he might throw in a few jokes. He also said that he asked to go last because they wanted to save the best for last.
I asked Gaurav what he would miss about RIT, and he definitely says Toastmaster is something that he would miss and he really enjoys being a part of. Let's welcome Gaurav and listen to what he has to say today.
Thank you. Can you all hear me perfectly? Is there any disturbance of any sort? No? Crap, I thought I could waste some time. All right, let me go do this. Yeah, there'll be some technical difficulties every now and then. Okay. 3 years ago, I felt my world changed. I could feel it in the air. I could feel it in the water. But most of all, I could feel it because there was a stamp on my passport which says I entered United States. I come from a very sheltered sort of family. I was mollycoddled all the way, and I managed to hide my insecurities behind a wall of humor. But little did I know that over time, my insecurities had kind of amalgamated into the one ring of insecurities. The problems began before I'd even touched the airport. As I walked towards the check-in desk with that rising theme of Lord of the Rings music behind me, dun, 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 very excited, very encouraged, and then suddenly, you're overweight. The ring had already taken its first task of bothering me throughout this flight. No, sir, your bags, they're overweight. Oh, okay. So I removed the 10 bags of ramen packets that I'd stuffed in. My dad didn't like to see that. But anyway, the ring had already started playing to its power. What will it do when I reach to the borders of Mordor? I was scared. I knew right now that my fellowship consisted of 3 other people, 3 of my friends, Hobbit friends, because we're all hairy. Wait, I'm hairy? Yeah, Hobbit friends. But I knew I needed to find new members for the fellowship. And so I set out to do that. My first choice was our fourth roommate, John. On the first day, John introduced himself to us. Hi, I'm John. I am in the business school and I come from Pennsylvania. We had a fun day. We ate some food. We enjoyed his company. On the second day, John introduced himself to us. Hi, I'm John. I'm from the business school. I came from Pennsylvania. On the third day, John introduced himself. John smoked a lot of weed. There were signs all over the place. You know, the intermittent memory loss, the funky smell, the fact that he offered us weed, that was a big sign. We discovered him one day just sleeping between the bathroom floor and the carpet, just like in the intersection. And we tried to get him to talk, you know, are you okay? And he said, "Meh." And I was like, this won't work. How can you be Legolas in my fellowship and slide down a stairs and shoot orcs if you can't even stand in a straight line? Answer me, John. Answer me. Didn't slap him, but John just woke up and said, hi, I'm John. I'm in business school. I come from Pennsylvania. I had to quickly discard him as a viable candidate for my fellowship. All the while, the ring was growing stronger. Every day, the social pressures of RIT, the need to be accepted into the, you know, the cliques, to be accepted into the lives of other people was growing on me. But thanks to the power of friendship of the 4 Hobbit friends that I came with, I was getting good at fending it off until Mordor played its biggest hand, the co-op and internship program. Suddenly, each of my friends was thrown across the country to different parts of the states, and I no longer had my fellowship with me. The air grew colder, literally. The walls began closing in, and darkness fell again. And then suddenly I heard from the rumbles of my mind or from the movie that was playing in the background, the same dialogue. Or maybe I heard it from days and years in the future, Alex's voice coming back to me. I wish my insecurities had never come to me. And then I hear a voice of an old wise gentleman. So do all who see such times, but it is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. But mostly it was Andy Staples. If you guys know Andy Staples, he's a good friend of mine, and he just contacted me and said, do you want to hang out, do something? And I went in the car. And it was as simple as that. I'd found a new member for my fellowship. What he did was something very simple. He took me along for a ride. We talked about a lot of things. He talked about a lot of things. He opened up, and in doing so, I opened up too. He talked about responsibility, family, and how he fears sometimes the responsibilities that are coming his way. And I said, oh my God, he fears responsibility. He is kind of like a leader. He has a glorious beard. Oh my God. Andy, just wait a second. Oh, perfect height too. Give me a 12. I'm driving right now. Just keep. Oh my God. You're Aragon. No, Andy. Shh. You're Aragon. You're part of my fellowship now. I did the same with Tom too. Tom became my Gandalf, full of wisdom, full of pearls of wisdom that he dropped every now and then, and sometimes gave me answers to the question that I hadn't even asked. So when the blood starts coming out, don't panic, okay? It's very important to keep calm. Does that answer your question? When I asked you if you want to go to McDonald's, Tom is like that. He goes off on a tangent very often, but very wise person. Slowly, the ring was losing its power. I couldn't hear the rumblings and the whispering coming off from it anymore. And then finally, I was taken, but with the help of Andy and Tom, I was taken to the Council of the Masters of Toast. There I sat in trepidation. while everyone gave a speech. And when the table topics segment came, I raised my hand. I will give a speech. I was so scared. I was so scared, guys. I'd never done anything like that in my life. I did not know the way, so to say. And then suddenly, just like all the other people in my life who were coming in at this point in life, all the other members of the Toastmasters were like, you have my feedback, you have my love notes, and you have my mentorship. That's exactly how it went down, verbatim. It was the most wonderful thing to have happened to me. Over the past 2 years, I've given a lot of speeches, and it has literally chipped away at this ring of insecurity until last week or 2-3 weeks ago when I finally graduated. I didn't even care for graduation. RIT was just an institution for me. It wasn't, I had any kind of emotional connection with it. I just had an emotional connection with Toastmasters, which I held in high regard. And that's why this graduation today is not for RIT. It's my graduation from this ring of insecurity. From my ring of security, and to express gratitude for the people who helped me along on the journey. As you might all know, I have never been very professional in this club, with the blatant disregard of time that I'm showing right now too. And honestly, I never came to this club for taking part in contests or going up the public speaking ladder. It was all about finding connections, being able to speak in front of people, and just understanding that to express your views is a wonderful thing, and there are people out there who are going to give you that chance. And that's what Toastmasters did. And for that, I'd want you all to give yourselves a good applause after the speech. But look at me while you're doing it, so I feel like it's for me. And that's just it. End credits, roll, just cut the camera. I'll just end it with one last quote from J.R.R. Tolkien, and I'm gonna just read it out because it's wonderful. Well, here at last, dear friends, on the shores of the Toastmaster Sea, comes the end of our fellowship at RIT. Go in peace. I will not say do not weep, for not all tears are evil. And with that, I officially conclude both my journey at RIT, for which I didn't care much, but also my journey at Toastmasters, because I am kind of sad, kind of happy to say that this would probably be my last speech, as I'm gonna move on from now. The road goes ever on and on, right? Down from the door where it began, and now far away the road has gone, and I must follow if I can. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to me. That's all.
Thank you, Gaurav, for taking us through your journey. I asked Gaurav, how would he personify RIT? He says, it's like an intermediate temporary person that you don't really like, but hang out because there's no one else around. And then you meet this really cool friend, Toastmaster, and that person is cool. So you strike a friendship with Toastmasters instead and try maintaining a friendly relationship with RIT. And behind the back of RIT, you and Toastmasters have a lot of fun. Let's all take 2 minutes to give love notes to Preetham as well as Gaurav to show them their love and how much we like their speech. Thank you, Tanay. Our next speaker is Mami. Though he wasn't in our prepared speech session, he's here to share his thoughts on living RIT. Let's hear from Mami. We can't hear you, Mami.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmasters, I would like to thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. I know I owe you a speech, even two speeches, a graduation speech, but also a gratitude speech to the community of Rochester. I'm leaving early tomorrow morning, and now we are packing. You can see behind my window, it's really messy in my room now, but yeah, I apologize for that. I am talking to you this evening with a mixed feeling. First, a feeling of bitterness for leaving an extraordinary group. I'm not that much impacted by the fact that I'm leaving RIT, but the friends, the family I found in Rochester here, and that first family was built within Toastmasters, but it went beyond. It went beyond. The second feeling is a feeling of excitement because I foresee the future that can be brilliant for all of us. And yeah, it's a very tough day for me today. I've been thinking, even maybe trying to postpone my departure to go maybe over the weekend, but no, it's time to leave or be leaving. So Madam Toastmasters, allow me especially to thank the Rochester community through Corey and his team, Alex, Brendan, you guys all, I know, I can't cite all of you. I know how supportive you've been to me and my family. I want you to send Alex and Brendan, Matt, Kelly, I want you to tell Sarah and Lindsay our special things from my family. They spend 3 hours a week. Every Monday they would come to my apartment, spend time with my family to help them practice English, share knowledge, experience, play. There's no price. That's priceless for us. On behalf of my entire family, we would like to thank you. And it went beyond that time you spent with us here. Even financial support you provided us. That's something I never thought that would happen. That's why I owe you a speech. And thanks to COVID-19, since the meetings are online, I believe I'll be able next week or in the weeks to come to offer you that speech you deserve for the gratitude we are feeling for all the services you've provided us. To my friends of Toastmasters, thank you. Thank you once again. You made me a more confident speaker. I know the journey is very long. The destination is still far, but something has been done thanks to you. Thanks to you, your coaching, your mentoring, your feedback, your evaluations, and even giving me roles during different meetings of Toastmasters. It helped me grow, learn more, be self-aware. So thank you once again. I can't tell you goodbye. I really can't. Because when I still love you, as Celine Dion said, when I still love you, it's so hard to say goodbye. So I tell you, until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mommy, for sharing your thoughts and journey in RIT. Let's all move into the next session of table topics. For that, I would like to welcome Hassan.
Thank you, Shitra. So for the next 10 minutes, we'll have impromptu speeches, and I will ask some questions, and some of you will answer those questions. And as we are celebrating the class of 2020, of course, the questions will be about the graduation. But before we start, I would like to give the floor to Tanai for a reminder about the time.
Hello everyone. For table topics, the table topics are 1 to 2 minutes long. So at 1 minute mark, I'll type in the chat that your 1 minute is up, and I'll also show this half screen book. At 1.5 minutes mark, I'll also type it in the chat and I'll show this yellow notepad. And at 2 minute mark, I'll show this red book and also type it in the chat. And then you have 15 seconds to wrap up. Remember to be eligible for the best table topic speaker, you have to be within the time frame. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanai. And to be eligible, also the speakers will have to use the word of the day, which is Sarah.
The word of the day is commence. It is a verb. Use it in place of to start or to begin. As in, let's commence the table topics portion.
Thank you, Sarah. Now we'll start with the first volunteer. I can't see any hands. Deb. So Deborah, we are celebrating today the class of 2020. So I would like to know, what does graduation mean to you?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and any guests. Graduation to me means closing of one door to open a brand new one. We are commencing a brand new adventure, whether it's graduating from a course, graduating from college, graduating just different areas of the life. I consider it like a phase, you know, something that gets you to the next point of your journey where you're looking to go. I fondly remember RIT and all of the relationships and funny moments and late night homework that I really didn't want to do but had to do it anyways, the papers, all the tough stress that came with it. And I remember at the end of my 5th year, because I started in a different program and had to move to a different one, that it prolonged my time at RIT, and I remember feeling so incredibly drained and done, and I had senioritis so bad, and my friend Mandy continued to remind me and do a countdown of, you know, 5 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 3 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 1 more week, and that got me through it. And so looking back at that time, I see all of the skills of learning how to deal with stressful situations, difficult professors, you know, having and exploring all the things that my wonderful liberal arts classes did to carry me into next. Excited, these new graduates of 2020 RIT. Woo, go Tigers! That you're going to take all of that stress you learned, and hopefully it's not going to be when you start actually working and not worrying about it. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Deb, for being the first speaker. Who would like to be the second speaker? Gurav. So Gurav, let's suppose you have in front of you your child who just graduated from high school. So what
Childhood?
advice?
Sorry, I completely couldn't hear. Can you please repeat? Sorry.
Say, let's suppose you have in front of you your child who graduated from high school. So what advice would you give to her? Would you give her or him?
My child?
Yeah.
think you skipped a lot of steps in between. What advice would I give to my child, hypothetical child, when he passes high school, you said? I would say that mm, the life you have lived so far, it might have been very rocky, and you might have accumulated yourself a ring of insecurities. It's okay. You go after your dad. And if you happen to have such a ring, it can only be destroyed with the power of a fellowship, which means with the power of friendship, family, love, and a lot of dark humor. I think that in that way you also go after your dad. So commence this next step with, absolutely no regrets, but just work towards getting rid of that ring, and you'll be fine, just like your dad. Thank you, son.
Thank you, Gaurav. Third and last question. Anwal, talking about high school, I came across a quote, an anonymous quote, which goes, "High school is a lot like a toilet paper. You only miss it when it's gone." So what do you miss about high school?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I definitely miss my friends, the journey that we commenced together. That was my, I don't know, my all-time favorite. I still have a lot of new friends, but the connection that I still have with my friends is unbreakable. My high school friends, we still talk, but it's just like once or twice a month, or maybe once or twice every 3-4 months. So I really miss my time with them. Also, what I don't miss is the stress. And regarding your earlier question, if you had asked me that, I would have said, just don't take stress. It's fine. It's going to be fine. You are going to be fine. No need to waste your time worrying about it. Just focus your time with your family and your friends, because they are all that matters at the end. Thank you.
Thank you too. This is our third and last question. I would like to ask now tonight, the timer. Did all the speakers qualify for table topics?
You're on mute, Tanay.
Yeah, I just realized, I'm sorry. So Dev and Gaurav were within the time. Kanwal was just 2 seconds before 1 minute mark. But I think that would be a pass.
Thought I heard her talking at the end there.
Yeah.
So what about the word of the day, Sarah?
And you did correctly. Hooray.
Okay, so thank you very much. So I think we can vote for best topics, best topics. And now it's time to me give the floor to the Toastmaster of the day, Shitra. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hasan, for conducting the table topic session and making it more lively. I have just gotten into the breakout rooms. Before that, I would like to have the functionary reports of how the meeting went. Let's hear from our timer, Tanay.
Hello, everyone. So for the prepared speeches, so there's a few people were within the time, for a few people were way over the time. So Ajita and Kanwal were just within 3 minute 30 seconds mark, and Pritham and Gaurav were above 8 minutes, and everybody, and also Mami was within the 5 minute mark. And for table topics, yeah, I've already said about table topics, but yeah, this is the timer report for today.
Thank you, Tanay. Let's hear from Ashutosh, our accountant.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Let me start off by saying today we had very great speeches and I enjoyed hearing all your experiences. It was a privilege knowing about your journeys. So for the prepared speeches, Cyril, you did not have any filler words, but you repeated because multiple times in a single sentence. So that is something you should be aware about. Alex, I liked, like most as the trend of today's speeches went, everybody kept on repeating the word I. One good thing in your speech was you substituted it with words like us, we, and our. So that was one trend that stood out in your speech. Kanwal had 2 R's in her speech, had 1 R, and repetitively kept on saying Dr. Garnier, when at times I felt that he should have substituted with he in the consecutive sentences, that I went to his office and said, Dr. Garnier, there is a fire in the particular room. Then instead of saying he rushed out, you again repeated, Dr. Garnier. So that's something which I thought you should be alerted of. And for the table topics, Deb had 2 Ms, Gaurav had 2 Rs, and Kanwal had 2 Rs. So a bit lengthy report, but that's all I have for today. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for a detailed report. Let's hear from our grammarian, Sarah, on her report.
Hello, Toastmasters. There were a lot of things to take note of. I will point out some standout-ish moments. For one, there is a new word that I learned. The word is portmanteau, and it is when you mash 2 words together. It's a fun game that my husband and I play often with any 2 words. However, Cyril used it in his speech with a common one that is Franglish. It is combining French and English into one word. It's a portmanteau. Cyril, one other thing from your speech, you used the word of the day, commence. However, you used it as a noun and it is a verb. So a noun, sorry, there's sirens everywhere, is a commencement, which is a commencement ceremony or a beginning. However, if you are using it correctly, it would have been we commenced to, I don't remember what that sentence was, but used as a beginning instead of the verb. Ajita, you described RIT as a complete exploratory package. That was awesome. Just wonderful language. And you also used the word of the day and you used it correctly. Alex started out with a little mystery. Who is this hero that he's talking about? And then he carried on with a parallel, which Gaurav also did. It happened to be the same parallel. And repeating that quote, it is very powerful to have that main point be repeated. It's what you do at that time that you're given. Conwell used the present progressive form of the word of the day, commencing, hooray, also correct. And also had some personification, where her dreams started pinching her, not something that dreams actually are capable of doing. However, you personified it and made it do so. Freedom, one of his strengths that he exemplified today was summarizing at the end those main 3 points so that they really hit home. It really helps us to take that message and carry it on with us, not trying to remember the first thing after we've heard the last thing. I already mentioned I've used parallel. You missed my whole Lord of the Rings themed meeting though, Gaurav. That has nothing to do with being the grammarian. I just planned it around you and I was sad you didn't make it. The table topic speakers, I'll use the word of the day. I didn't have any specific notes on mommy other than
We love you and see you a lot.
Thank you, Sarah, for your report. And for the exciting part of the evening is the winner of the table topic session. Let's hear some drum roll. Please unmute yourself. It's Deb.
Yay!
Congratulations, Deb.
Thanks.
Okay. With that, I adjourn the meeting, and I've created breakout rooms for us so people can hear their feedback from their silent evaluators.